Hey everyone, welcome back to the final part of my tutorial. My name is Jay and I'll be showing you how to paint this Deathwing Terminator from the Dark Vengeance starter set. So now that the base coat is done on all the metallic areas, I gave them all a Nuln Oil shading. This shading will just get in all the recesses, bring out the nice detail in the metallic areas, in which later we'll go over with some highlights and make these metallic areas really stand out and pop and have a lot of contrast between the recesses and the raised edges. Please note that if you want your metallic areas to look even more dirty and older in appearance, then I'd recommend using a 1-to-1 mix of Nuln Oil and Agrex Earthshade. But since this is a Deathwing Terminator, and I think Deathwings will be a little bit more pristine, I decided just to give it a Nuln Oil shading and try to keep them relatively clean in appearance. With the shading done, I highlighted all these areas with Ironbreaker. For most of the areas, such as the symbols, the vents on the face, the gun, and the sword, I basically just used an overbrush or dry brush technique and focused on the edges and the raised areas of all the metallic parts of the model. As you can see with this very quick dry brush, the details are really starting to pop, especially along the edges of the gun and the sword. It should also be noted that this may not have been shown in the footage, but I also used Ironbreaker to paint all the little bolts or all the little indentations on the armor, such as on the his right knee. And as before, just be careful when doing dry brush near the armor, because you don't want to get the metallic paint on the nice tan armor that we've been spending so much time getting pristine. And then I did one more very light dry brush over these areas with Runefang Steel, which is the lightest of the silver colors. I just focused on select metallic areas, specifically the ones that would be more likely being hit by the light. So the top of his forehead, his shoulder pads, and the top of his gun, while ignoring the ones more lower down on the model. I started on all the gold areas by painting them Balthazar Gold, the new base color, which gives excellent coverage, if I do say so myself, over the gold areas and provides some great foundation for these gold areas. I used Balthazar Gold on the sword hilt and the symbols on the belt and the one hanging from the rope. Then to provide some shading, I gave it a 1-to-1 mix of Agrex Earthshade and Nuln Oil. This will get in the recesses and give that dirtier appearance I mentioned earlier for the silvers, but it'll give it for the golds, and I think it turns out really nicely. Then I gave these gold areas 2 consecutive highlights, first with Gehenna's Gold, which is a nice warm reddish gold, and I focused on all the raised areas, of course, left the recesses shaded, as I've done with all my other highlights in the past in this tutorial. And then I gave one more very light highlight on the edges, just the edges I really wanted to pop, with Auric Armor Gold, which is a very bright yellowish gold. And finally, I painted the eyes, first with Evil Sun Scarlet. There's no foundation color needed in this particular step, since it's just a very small area, and I wanted to start off with a medium tone red. When painting the eyes, just be very careful, take your time, and do very slow and long brush strokes along the eye sections. And then I painted the large part of the eye Wild Rider red, so to give a little bit of an orangey red color which will contrast in the eye and provide some really nice depth. Then I painted little tiny white circles in the corner of this section with white scars. And that's it. You now know how I painted up this Deathwing Terminator. As you can see, this is what the final product looked like. I went with just a very simple base appearance. I added some really dark gravel to create some stark contrast between the dark gravel and the base, and then the light armor of the model, and then just added a couple tufts of grass and some flowers just to break up the monotony of the base. So really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please leave comments in the comments section below if you have any questions or comments, and stay tuned for more Dark Angel tutorials. Till next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting everyone.